Hey everyone. Woo, windy hair day. I am so sorry. Here I put out all these notifications and you received all of these emails about the live being in the membership site today. And then you probably went on and it wasn't working. And I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. We're trying to figure it out. Haven't had that issue before, but thank God for Facebook, right? So this week's live is Live with Meg call is going to be in Facebook. So this is what you get when you're on the cutting edge in a new program like this. You know, we've only been doing this for about 2 months, and I'm really proud of the progress that we've made on this, and I'm proud of you for being here. So welcome to another week. So before we dive in, and by the way, this will be uploaded to the membership site as well, and I am going to make a note of that. You can always go to the membership site and look at the archived videos from several weeks before. You can always access them there. Okay, so if I don't write it down, it's not going to happen. All right, I'm really excited to dive into this week 3 things to help with bumps in the road, because we all have bumps in the road, right? A bump in the road was today. I just experienced it. I got really annoyed because the YouTube wasn't working. We use YouTube for the videos within the membership site, and it wasn't loading. I'm like, what the heck? It's a bump in the road. And so using these 3 tools today, I think will really help you and myself when we encounter bumps in the road, because on this journey of sober tranquility, when we no longer have the crutch of alcohol to grab onto, when we hit those bumps in the road, when we get triggered, when life just feels overwhelming, it's nice to step into these tools. And I picked 3 of my, I think, most profound. And no, it's not take a bubble bath, go to a yoga class, and meditate for 5 minutes. No, we're going to go a little deeper today. Hold on. But before we do, a couple of admin, and yes, between it not working on the membership site today and having to do the live in the Facebook group, I'm going to add on some more changes here, but bear with me. I promise, again, this program is only 2 months old and we're ironing out the kinks. So starting next week, I came up with a new thing, and I'm super excited about this. We're going to move the weekly calls to Tuesday, okay? And they're going to still be in the membership site, knock on wood. They're going to still be in the membership site, and we're going to call them Tranquility Tuesdays. It's going to be at noon Central Time on Tuesdays. If you want to watch them live, log into the membership site noon on Tuesday. So basically, this weekly call that I'm doing now, this Thursday Live with Meg, is simply going to be moved over to Tuesday at noon Central Time, and it's going to be called Tranquility Tuesday. Okay, it's a workshop, basically, the Tranquility Tuesday workshop. And then on Thursday, what I thought is it would be fun to do a Facebook Live in the evening right here on Facebook. And I'm going to call it Tranquility Happy Hour. How does that sound? So I like it. So starting next week, you might want to put in, I encourage you to put into your calendar that Tuesday noon Central Time is the weekly call like we have now. It's going to be called Tranquility Tuesday Workshop. And then in this group, we're going to do a Thursday night happy hour live in Facebook. And that will be at 6 p.m. Central. Okay, let's move on from that. Also, I wanted to mention there's a group of you that are getting close to the end of the reset. Congratulations. And you'll start receiving some little notices that, hey, you're getting to the end of the 30-day reset. If you'd like to continue in the program, which I hope you do, then there'll be a link for you to join where it would just be a $29 charge to continue in the program. So you have access Well, let me back it up. If you just wanted to do the 30-day reset, that's cool. You will maintain access to the 30-day content, so you can go back to that for however long you want. You can go back in the archives to the old Live with Meg calls. You can stay in the Facebook group. That's cool. If you want to stay in the community and continue to have access to these more in-depth weekly calls and other goodies, then it's $29 a month. Okay? So I highly encourage you to stay on board. It's an ongoing process, and we're going to build out the program even more so. So for now, there you go. If you're reaching the end of the 30 days, I encourage you to stay with us and just continue on for $29 a month. That gives you access to all future lives. All right, let's see here. I think we are good to go. Okay, so let's dive into the 3 things to help with bumps in the road. All right, we all have bumps in the road. We all have mornings where we wake up and we want to put the cover back over our head or pillow or whatever you want to do. You have those mornings where you might be filled with anxiety. You might be filled with regret from choices from yesterday, or it might have something to do with other people in your world. It might be things going on at your job. It might be things going on in your personal relationship. So it's really key to recognize that these bumps in the road are actually little gifts. I really do believe that. When you get triggered, even though it's just so interesting, isn't it? You notice when you hit a bump in the road because you have a physical reaction. You might get the pit in the stomach. You might get the tightness in the chest. You might get the blood rushing to your head. You might just feel hot all over. You might just feel agitated. I encourage you to, when you hit those bumps in the road, to get out of your head and locate in your body where you're feeling that overwhelm, where you're feeling that bump in the road. And I have a tool, it's my 3rd tool that we're going to address on that. So like sensing in your body, where do I feel this bump in the road? How is it affecting me physically? Rather than just the thoughts that are circulating in your head. So let's jump into the first tool. So the first tool is one that I love, and it is called Breathe. That is the word of the year over on my desk over there. I have it written down, and I wrote it down January 1st. I picked my word of the year, and it's breathe. Breathe, 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 breathe. Let's all breathe. Let's all take a collective breath together. All right. So when I talk about the tool being breathe, that's a pretty expansive word. What do you mean, Meg? Do you mean breathe in terms of breath work? Do you mean just, paying attention to how you breathe? I'm talking, when I say breathe is the first tool. Hey, birdie girl. I'm talking about this idea of breathing and taking a pause. A mentor of mine has a great tool. And he talks about before he ever goes into a meeting, or before he hops on a webinar, or before he hops on a work call, he always pauses and asks himself the question of, how do I want to feel when I walk out of this meeting? Or when I hit click on the webinar or the Zoom call, how do I want to feel? And so I created an acronym for that, and it's called PCC. And I've talked about this before, but I'll review it quickly here. It's pause, challenge yourself with a question, and then make a choice. So when you hit a roadblock, when you get triggered, when you feel overwhelmed, just breathe and pause and challenge yourself with a question. Okay, how do I want to react in this moment? And then make a choice on how to proceed. I can't remember who it was. She's a Buddhist monk. I can't remember her name. Oh gosh, help me out if you're watching now or later on the comments. Nina Peschon, isn't she a Buddhist monk? Anyway, She talks about the pause practice, that if you aren't a meditator, or even if you are, what I love about this is the simplicity around it for people who just don't feel they have the time to meditate. She calls it the pause practice. And it's a meditative practice where you simply pause when someone says something to you that sets you off or creates a physical reaction in you. You pause. When you are feeling overwhelmed heading out the door in the morning, you just pause for a moment and you breathe. Maybe one breath, maybe two or three. You just take that moment to pause. And I think that the breath always, always brings us home. It always brings us home to that place of groundedness, to that place of safety, security, that place of love. And so just breathing and pausing can really just bring you down out of the overwhelm. And if you hit a roadblock, if you wake up the next morning, tomorrow morning, and you're like, oh God, why did I say yes to the wine? Or why did I do that? You can simply pause and just breathe and come home to you. Because where you are when you breathe, when you come home to you, that's that perfect place, that imperfect, perfect place that's within all of us. And it's accessible when you simply get out of your head and into your body and pause. So I love that, the pause practice. Just now, when I was trying to get on YouTube, I was getting so frustrated because I'm like, why isn't this working? And then I just sat back and I paused. I, of course, looked at my notes for today, and I'm like, well, I've got 3 tools for all my sisters here on the call. I think I'll try the first one. I'm just going to breathe and I'm going to pause. And I'm going to realize that, is this really going to matter a day from now, a week from now, 2 hours from now? And that's when I was like, hello, I'll just get on the Facebook Live. So solutions can come out of that space of pausing. Solutions arise when you take the time to breathe. Because if you're caught up in the overwhelm and the mind chatter, and then your body is getting triggered, and like, you can't access the wise part of you. You can't access the part of you that has solutions ready for you because you're so clouded with the overwhelm. So just pause. So that is number 1. So number 2 is this idea of time traveling. We talk about the flash forward trick and time traveling with, how do I want to feel the next day? If I have this drink or 2 or 3, I'm going to travel in time to this evening and how I'm going to feel. I'm going to travel in time to 3 a.m. when I wake up thirsty with a headache. I'm going to travel to tomorrow morning and how I feel getting out of bed and how I operate and how I eat and what I eat and how I show up to myself and others and what kind of work I get done tomorrow. If I choose XYZ, the 1, 2, 3 glasses of wine, and then you have an informed decision. For some of us in the group, you're choosing to moderate after the reset. And so you can say to yourself, all right, I'm going to have the glass of wine. And then you do the time travel. How am I going to feel when I go to bed? How am I going to feel in the middle of the night? How am I going to feel tomorrow? And then you can make an informed decision. Maybe for you, 1 glass of wine, it's not going to negatively impact you as you time travel. So it's all about figuring out what's right for you. So in terms of time traveling in this sense, I'd like to talk about another way to use the time traveling. So when you hit a bump in the road, you can time travel to the future, and you can ask yourself, your future self, does it really matter now? And I remember reading in Oprah magazine when I was going through my divorce. It was a really profound article. And I think they called it the 30-30-30 trick. Is this going to matter 30 hours from now? 30 days from now, 30 months from now, or whatever sequence you want to put in it. And I remember thinking that, like, in 30 hours from now, yeah, it's still going to bother me that I'm going through this divorce. 30 days from now, maybe not so much because I'm going to be going through the divorce, and 30 days after, I might be starting to feel better. And 30 months from now, well, heck, that's almost close to 3 years from now. That's 2.5 years from now. I think I'm going to be okay. And it's going and it's future, it's going to the future and asking that part of you, that wise part of you, is this going to matter 3 years from now, 3 months from now, 3 days from now? And most of the time, the 3 years from now probably won't. And if it does, well, then you've got some navigating to do and negotiating to do around that bump in the road. Oftentimes, we make novels out of short stories. We make mountains out of molehills. And if we can jump to the future and ask ourselves and use our intuition for that response, oftentimes it's like, well, no, this really isn't going to matter. The fact that I can't get on YouTube for the Live with Meg call for the membership site, is that really going to matter 3 weeks from now? No. So when you hit a bump in the road, let's say you woke up this morning and you're feeling disheartened because you made some choices last night that didn't work for you, you can ask yourself, is this going to matter 3 hours from now? Well, maybe the answer is yes, because you're not going to feel so great. Is this going to matter 30 hours from now? That's a day and a half away. Probably not. Is this going to matter 30 days from now? No, because today is your invitation to start fresh, to start new. And so using that time travel technique is so powerful when you hit a bump in the road. Isn't it interesting how we let the little things get to us and steal our joy and steal our energy? And that's just really not needed. Another great thing about doing this time travel technique is you can jump to the future and you can ask yourself as well, what was the learning that I absorbed through that bump in the road? What did I learn? And it's really cool because it's hard when you're in the moment to see, like, what is the learning? But if you can jump to your future self, you can look back in 2020 hindsight and say, yeah, the silver lining and the learning was XYZ. Now, in the present moment, you probably, even though you may know that, you don't want to accept it because you're annoyed with the bump in the road, but it's helpful. So for example, I'll use it again. If I jumped forward to 3 days from now and I asked my higher self, well, what was the learning that you learned when you couldn't get on YouTube? Well, my higher self would say, well, maybe you should have tested it out earlier that morning. And then you could have asked for support from the people that support you and know how to do all this stuff that help you. And you wouldn't have waited till the last minute. So that's a cool thing to do, is look forward to the future and ask, is this really going to matter 3 days, 3 months, 3 years from now? And also, what is the learning? What's the silver lining? What is the education I'm walking away with? Okay, so let's move on to the third. The third is really key. The third is asking for support. And I think oftentimes when we ask for support, immediately what comes to mind is calling a friend, calling a therapist, calling a mentor, calling a loved one. And yes, that is so important. I want to talk about 2 other levels of support. And the first being going within and asking for support from yourself. And what I mean by that is going within and finding the mother within you, the nurturing part of yourself that loves and adores you. That part of you that is able to offer TLC in a moment's notice. That part of you that oftentimes is covered up and in a little cave that you don't really access a lot of time for support. You have available to you at this moment, from the day you were born until the day you cross over, you have available to you that sense of security, that mothering part of you that is waiting to mother yourself. You just have to ask for support from yourself. And a great way to do that is when you hit a roadblock, ask yourself, what is it that I really need right now? If your roadblock is you really want to dive into that bottle of wine or have a martini or two, you can ask yourself, what am I really looking for right now? What am I really desiring right now? And I bet you 99.9% of the time, it's not going to be the drink or the glass of wine. It's not going to be that. The wine, the cocktail, that is really not what you're needing and desiring. What you're probably desiring is support, connection, love, TLC, tranquility, self-care, coziness, calmness, security, safety. So asking yourself for support. Okay, I'm hitting this roadblock. I really want to do XYZ. What do I really need right now? And get quiet and see these tools are intermersed with each other. You can go back to tool number 1 and use the pause practice and take a breath, right? Number 1 is breathe. So just pause and practice asking yourself the question of, what do I really crave right now? What is it that I want? Because we know that the superficial stuff is not really going to get you what you want. And once you identify what it is you really want, that's all you really need to do. It kind of takes care of itself. The bump in the road tends to fizzle. Well, what I'm really desiring and what I'm really craving right now is tenderness. I'm feeling alone. I'm craving connection. Then you know. And it's like that desire then to grab the couple martinis or the bottle of wine kind of fizzles away because you're like, oh, right. It's like you bring that up from your subconscious mind of it's like what you desire is down here in your subconscious mind. And when you ask yourself the question, what is it that I really want? That subconscious desire of connection comes rising up to the conscious mind. And you're like, oh, connection. Well, I'm not going to get that from the bottle of wine. I'm not going to get that from a couple martinis. Of course not. I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call a friend. I'm going to go out on a walk with my dog. I'm going to set up a Zoom call, or maybe I'll set up a picnic for this weekend or a horseback ride with friends, something to look forward to that will fill that desire for connection. Isn't that cool? It's kind of cool. And so once you uncover that from yourself, you can be your own, what do I always say? You can be your own psychic, you can be your own best friend. You can access that part of you that knows exactly what you need. You just have to ask. And then the final piece of supporting or asking for support is asking beyond yourself. So we've got our friends, our therapists, our mentors, our loved ones, all of that, right? And then we've got ourselves inside, that intuitive voice. And then we have the whole universe. I like to call it kind of out there, the ethereal part, universe, God, the divine, whatever it may be and mean to you. That power that we're all part of is accessible to you to help you and to support you. And I may have shared this before in a live, but I'm going to share it again because I share it with people. I've been sharing it with people recently and they love it and I love it. It's when you feel over, and let's define a roadblock first of all. A roadblock can be something within us, a mindset, a feeling, an emotion. It can be outside of us, like a choice, an experience, another person. So roadblocks can be anything that stop us and keep us stuck, that drain our energy, okay? That bring us down, that make us angry, that make us frustrated, that trigger us. It's the whole gamut. Any kind of emotional suffering typically is caused by a roadblock. And a great way to do it is to identify, like, okay, this is my roadblock, and then asking for help. And I'm going to take you through what I do, and that is I locate the feeling in my body. Because let's face it, any kind of roadblocks, experiences, other people, ourselves, choices, they all have energy to them. And oftentimes that energy can get just blocked within us. So I'd like to do a little fun little experiment here. So I'd like you to think about a current roadblock that you are dealing with. And it might be with another person, it might be within yourself. Again, it might be, just an overall situation. And so take a moment and think about a roadblock that you would like to release, and I'll do it with you. I'm going to think about one of mine. Okay, I've got mine. Do you have yours? All right, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to locate, where do you feel this emotional suffering in your body? Where do you feel it? For me, it's in my stomach right now. Where do you feel that cluster of energy percolating? Might be in your chest, your throat, your head. Okay, now that you've located it, I'd like you to welcome it. Just play with me here, okay? You got nothing to lose. If you think this is woo-woo and crazy, you've got nothing to lose. You can just play with it. So I'd like you to, once you've located it, to welcome it. Say, hi there. I'm so glad you're here. And also, before we go further, I'd like you to identify on a level of 1 to 10, what is your sense of emotional suffering? For me right now, it's definitely it's like an 8. It's an 8. And so what is your level of emotional suffering around this roadblock? So identify that. And so now I'd like you to welcome it. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but welcome it. Hi there. Feeling around this situation or person. Hi there. Welcome. I hear you. I feel you. I see you. I understand you. In this moment, I welcome you. And then once you've welcomed this experience or this emotion, this roadblock, ask it for information. I like to say, tell me what I need to know about this situation. How do I feel? Maybe it's frustrated, annoyed, at my wit's end, backed into a corner, just completely frustrated or upset, sad it might be. So just ask it to tell you, what do I need to know about this feeling that I'm welcoming right now, that I'm accepting? And this is a practice that we really can't do when we're constantly on a daily basis ingesting alcohol, because it covers the clarity up. And so what do you need to tell me? And so you continue asking yourself until you start to feel that energy break up. You start to feel it maybe not go away, but kind of loosen up a bit. Ooh, I'm really upset. And the point of welcoming it and loving it and asking, what do you have to tell me? It's to acknowledge it, because right now it's got a lot of power over you. It's holding a lot of power over your joy. And so you need to get to know it. You need to let it be heard. And once it's heard, just like a child, it calms down. It mellows out. And then when you're ready to release it, whatever that may mean to you, you can say a little prayer. And it goes like this. May the light of God surround this roadblock or experience or person or situation, whatever you want to put in there, okay? For the sake of this exercise, I'm just going to say this situation. May the light of God surround this situation. And you can almost imagine watching it, the light around you, if there's another person in the situation, and just imagine the whole situation. May the light of God surround this situation and really feel that. May the power of God support the situation and really feel that support. May the love of God enfold this situation so you feel like the love of God. And again, I'm using God. You can use universe, divine, whatever you want, energy. May the love of God enfold this situation and you can just feel it coming through you. And then finally, may the presence of God heal this situation and really feel that. So I'll repeat those 4 again. May the light of God surround this situation. May the power of God support this situation. May the love of God enfold this situation. And may the presence of God heal this situation. And then I end it with, wherever I go, there God is. I am safe, I am loved, all is good, and all is well. And I feel like that wraps it all up in a nice little package. This emotional suffering that you're experiencing, this bump in the road. It acknowledges it. You're asking for support and you're setting it free. And if all else fails, the final thing that works for me is, dear God, I can't deal with this bump in the road today or this experience or this other person. It's too much for me. I'm just going to lay it at your feet today because I've got to go on and do my stuff, live my life. Please resolve it in the best way possible for all those involved. So that's pretty heavy stuff, right? And yet, excuse me, I feel that it's so powerful in navigating those bumps in the road. So yeah, we have our tranquility treats like the bubble baths and meditating and going on a walk and, baking cookies. That's what I like to do. And those are fun. Sometimes those bumps in the road are a little deeper. And if we use these 3 tools of number 1, breathing and just doing that pause practice. Number 2, time traveling to the future and asking, is this really going to matter 3 days, 3 months, 3 years from now? And also, what is the learning that I'm actually experiencing in this? So you're asking that future self. And number 3, asking for support from others, from yourself, that's always available to you. You are your best psychic. You are your best BFF. And then asking for support from the universe, divine, God, your angels, your guides, whoever you connect with, maybe loved ones who have passed over. There is power in that, in asking for support. And I will just end with that I'm so grateful for you, for this community. It's continuing to grow, and I just feel really blessed. This is the highlight to my day, is meeting with you. It truly is. And a quick recap again, that starting next week, we're going to have a little shift. The weekly calls that are in the membership site, sorry, I know I had some problems with that today. That's why I'm on here doing the live weekly call. We're going to move them from Thursday to Tuesday, same time, noon Central Time, and they're going to be called Tranquility Tuesday Workshops. I thought that was kind of cool. And then Thursday evening, I'm going to do just a really fun happy hour. It's going to be called the, Tranquility Happy Hour. Tranquility Happy Hour on Thursday nights, and it'll be right here in the Facebook group. Okay? So there you go, my friends. I love you. Have a wonderful day. And guess what? Her ladyship is feeling much better. That's my dog, Birdie. She was in the animal hospital, and she is feeling so much better. So thank you for your prayers and your good energy, and I will see you very soon. Okay, bye-bye.